It's a battle of the backups. I don't think we expected a Week 3 matchup between the Bengals and the Vikings would feature Jake Browning and Carson Wentz, but here we are. There's your starting quarterbacks for this one. Both Joe Burrow and J.J. McCarthy dealing with injuries. So Jay Jettas, Jamar Chase, it is your time to shine. We had that whole conversation yesterday. I want to mention Cincinnati 8-22 without Joe Burrow under center in the Zach Taylor era. So a big task there. Yeah, not a good stat. As we welcome you back here to our CBS Sports HQ studios, Pete Prisco, Leger Douzable. Guys, I want to start the conversation there with just a quick overview. Pete, on Sunday, you told me as soon as that Joe Burrow injury happened that the Bengals season was done. You can't get it done with Jake Browning. What can he do maybe to change your mind?
Win games, and I don't know if he can. I don't know if he can. And the Bengal fans are all mad at me because I said their season's over.
They are mad.
And Jake Browning went 4-3 when he played last time.
Yeah.
What Jake Browning is a serviceable backup. That's what he is. And I've said this time and time again. He can navigate a small window of games and be fine. That's who he is. If he's going to navigate 12 games, I don't think he can have success enough to get them into the postseason. That's just my personal opinion. Now, maybe he makes me eat those words and put some Skyline chili on top of them or something. But other than that, I just don't see it happening. Can he win this week? Absolutely,
For sure.
He can win this week. But I'm not convinced that he's. And if you watch him last week, he wasn't very good.
Yeah. Bengals, your fan. I want to tell the fans, your season isn't over. And I saw some good. There was some bad when you look at Jake Browning.
3 interceptions.
Yeah,
was horrible.
and 2 of them were on the money down. One was 3rd and 11, inexcusable. He tries to fit it over the linebacker in front of the safety, and the ball just floats. He's going to Ishibash, gets picked off. 3rd and 6, that one was the one where I was scratching my head because he feels pressure to the left side, rolls to his right. Should have just thrown it out of bounds, right? He tried to force it to Mike Gesicki. It gets picked off. But when you look at some of the throws he did make, some of those hole shots to Jamar Chase, just getting Jamar Chase in space. Also, T. Higgins, all-out blitz. He knows exactly where to go with the football. 3rd and 5, he hits him on a go route for a big 55-yard touchdown. Like, that should excite you if you're a Bengals fan because they have the weaponry on the outside now. They got to get the run game going. Like, Chase Brown has to get going. You know, they are the first team since 1940 to be 2-0, and then both of their games rushed for less than 50 yards. Like, you have an issue with your O-line. You have a backup quarterback. Run the dang ball. That's what you need to do to take pressure off Jake Browning. But if we get that guy that we saw in 23, where he went 4-3, and you look at the totality of the season, if he's able to finish 500 and they steal this win, that puts them around 10-7. That gets them into the playoffs. So I would say all hope isn't lost, Bengals fans, if Jake Browning can limit the turnovers because he has the highest completion percentage in NFL history. I know a lot of people don't know that's a crazy,
wild. I'm glad
crazy
that
stat.
you said it though
Crazy
because
stat,
it's in
right?
our research documents.
Yeah.
And when I saw it in there, I was like, "There's no way that's."
Yeah, he completing around 70%. Even in 2023, he was completing 72%. He just has to take care of the football, and he gives them a chance.
And what's his yards per attempt on those 70? Yeah.
But no, he's averaging like 240 throwing a game. That's what I'm saying. So he can throw it down the field.
He threw a bubble screen to
Chase,
and he went for 45 yards.
Yeah, but then the throw and catch on the go ball to T. Higgins, 55 yards.
And by the way,
he had some big time throws.
He led him to the touchdown drive because he got a gift pass interference penalty on.
But he was 9 of 10 on that drive too.
But again, look. The bottom line
we'll
is,
see. I think
it's not like the defense is very good either. I mean, Jacksonville did whatever the hell they wanted.
And that's a good point because going into the season, we thought that they would play a little bit more man. They were playing cover 3 a lot in the
zone.
Yeah, which to me doesn't really fit the skill set of their young DBs and why they keep giving up big explosive plays.
They're done.
I don't think they're done. Bengals fans, you're not done yet.
How does the conversation change, I guess, with a backup quarterback in Carson Wentz, who, different team? What was the stat yesterday? He started for a different team in the last
6 straight years, I think.
Yeah. 1950s. So there's a lot of that, and he does have the experience, Pete. But I guess what's the difference when you view Carson as the backup quarterback in this one?
Well, he's been a starter in this league for at certain times he was a really good starter before he hurt his knee. And I think this is one of those situations. It can't be any worse than what J.J. McCarthy was last week, okay? It can't be any worse. And we always rave about Kevin O'Connell. And Kevin O'Connell can scheme it up for any quarterback. Well, here you go. You have a guy that's been in big battles, and he's played a lot of games, and some of them have been horrible, and some of them have been good. Go scheme it up for him because It was terrible last week. It wasn't
bad.
good for Kevin O'Connell. It wasn't good for J.J. McCarthy. Now you get Wentz in there. Get the ball to Jefferson, okay? That's what you have to do. Get the ball to Jefferson.
They're another team that has really struggled to run the ball. Aaron Jones is now hurt as well, so it's going to be the Jordan Mason show. But I have concerns because this is a guy that wasn't with them in the offseason program. He wasn't with them throughout training camp. Kevin O'Connell and his concepts can be difficult at times, right? So, like, this is a quarterback who is a veteran, but he's just learning this offense as well. He's only been there 2 weeks, Pete. So, like, to me, I have more confidence in Jake Browning because at least he's been in Zach Taylor's system for a multitude of years. And you see it right there, the win-loss from, all the teams he's been on. He's really struggled since that, coach year going down, right? He hasn't played really good football. So when you look at it, you were right, Pete. J.J. McCarthy struggled. I mean, day one stuff where you slide the protection to the right, the back is to the flat, the end's coming off the edge, and you don't throw. If he throws it to Aaron Jones, he walks into the end zone for 50 yards. It was just bad play by J.J. McCarthy. Pete, in their first 7 drives, 5 of those drives ended in 4 plays or less. 4 plays or less. So there's no continuity on the offense. You can't stay on the field. How do you build up that continuity? How do you get that run game going? So it'll be interesting to see the game plan that KOC has for Carson Wentz because, again, he's only been there about 2 weeks.
You mentioned throw the ball to Jefferson. You mentioned run the ball. We're going to talk about both of them.
They have to run the ball.
I want to talk about the running game first, though, specifically because you mentioned it. I almost called him Aaron Judge because of what's going on in baseball. Aaron Jones, obviously going on IR with the hamstring injury. What's the difference, Leger, with Jordan Mason in the mix? Because when you look at his numbers, they don't jump off the charts, right? 98 yards on 24 carries. So what's the different look going to be?
When they won that game versus Chicago, it was this guy, right? The physicality that he brings. And I was surprised that San Fran decided to trade him away, especially with the injury history of Christian McCaffrey. This is what they envisioned, right? They knew they had a rookie quarterback. We have Aaron Jones, who is a guy that's more of a slasher that you can give the ball to in space. And this is our hammer right here. This is what he does, right? Jordan Mason runs people over. They haven't been able to get him going. Another reason why they haven't, I think not having Christian Darrisaw has really hurt them, right? You have Donovan Jackson, a rookie offensive guard, who's next to a guy in Skull who's been a backup, right? Not having that veteran presence next to him, because Donovan Jackson struggled sometimes in pass protection last week as well. The Atlanta Falcons got after that offensive line, which Atlanta has struggled to rush the passer. But they have to get Jordan Mason going because even though Carson Wentz is a veteran quarterback, if you become one-dimensional, it is tough to win games in this league.
He will be much more physical, no doubt about it. In fact, there was talk he was going to start taking more and more carries away and become the guy running the football. What he doesn't give you is what Jones gives you in the passing game. We saw that against the Bears. They got him in a one-on-one situation with a linebacker. It ended up being a touchdown. Mason's not going to do that like that. So you got to give some and get some. But I do think I'm with you. They got to run the ball and be more physical. And it's not like the Bengals are the greatest run defense team in the world either. I mean, they were better last week. Jacksonville didn't run the ball very much last week.
They still gave up 200 yards though on the ground.
I think they're going to run. I think they'll run the ball more in this game, the Vikings.
The whole offense needs to improve in Minnesota. How about this for a statistic? 12 points to their first 3 quarters of football this season. So it has not been good for Minnesota. At least they have Justin Jefferson. Pete, to your point, we did this exercise yesterday where we put Jamar Chase versus Justin Jefferson ahead in 5 different categories. You gave the slight nod, remind me, to Jay Jettas, correct?
Yeah, I gave it to Jettas.
So you're nodding your head. What's
close,
the difference for you then?
He's got more. He's a better route runner.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
and I think he can do a lot more. But I just, when you watch them play, I think Chase is more physical, much more physical.
Dog mentality.
That's what he is. And I think Jefferson gives you more wiggle and more big playability down the field. Look, I love both of them. I think they're both great players, and it's really close. And when you ask, I actually asked them a couple of years ago when I asked Chase, he said it was him. And then when we brought it to Jefferson and said Chase said it was him, he didn't like it too much.
Of course
and he kind of, but he didn't. He was offended by the whole thing.
I'm the number one guy.
Right. And I would say it's Jefferson. Barely over Chase.
It's close. And when you look at it, the funny thing is I picked Jettas yesterday, but for this game specifically, I give the edge to Chase because of what you talked about. You can just get Jamar Chase the ball on the screenplay, and he can take it 40 or 50 yards, going back to that physicality and dog mentality and contact balance. But as far as route running, but that's the thing, right? With the quarterbacks that Justin Jefferson has had to play with, J.J. McCarthy and now Carson Wentz, Are they going to be able to utilize him well? Can the quarterbacks make the plays? And we see the yardage right there.
That's the biggest difference.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
And
it's crazy because Jefferson missed half a season too.
And that's end of the argument right there, because that's
There's a year difference
you.
between the two, though.
Yeah, I mean, they're both great players, but Jefferson's better.
Is there anyone else in the league that you guys that would put in that same tier? Like, is there anyone else that's close to what those guys are doing?
Back in the day when he was actually focused and playing well, Tyreek Hill would have been in the conversation.
And I would say A.J. Brown when they were actually throwing him the ball. A.J. Brown's he's special. I'm trying to tell you. A.J. Brown's special.
No,
he is. I'm trying to tell you.
No, there's a whole nother level.
Let's get a pick from you guys, whether it's Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, whichever side you lean here. We know it is a battle of the backups here. Leger, I give you first word. Vikings are favored here at -3. What's your play? What's your pick?
Yeah, kind of surprised they're favored. I guess because they're getting at home cooking, and that's why they're favored. But I'm going with the quarterback that has been in the system for a multitude of years, who's actually stepped in to start when Joe Shiesty got hurt. I'm going with the Jake Browning-led Bengals. You're going to give me points, give me that, but sprinkle a little something on the money line. I think the Bengals win this one outright.
I don't. I
Really?
just think it's a tough. I think it's a tough game. I think it's a tough game for both teams. You don't know how the quarterback's going to play. I'm going to take Carson Wentz at home because Kevin O'Connell, he fixes everybody, doesn't he?
I mean, the Vikings defense didn't play good against the run last week either. They gave him 200.
But Bengals don't run the ball like you said.
You said neither of these teams run the ball.
Neither of these teams have
That's why I'm trusting Jake Browning
in the backfield there. Jake Browning versus Carson Wentz, by the way, the first Week 3 starting quarterback matchup between two quarterbacks that did not start in Week 1 or Week 2 since 1998. Can you name the matchup in that one?
What's that now?
Jake Browning, Carson Wentz, first Week 3 starting quarterback matchup between two quarterbacks who did not start in Week 1 and 2. Do you know the other matchup?
I don't.
Charlie Batch versus Randall Cunningham.
I was going to say Randall Cunningham. I didn't know who the other person was.
Step your trivia game up, Pete. And in the meantime, those of you at home, check out our CBS Sports slate coming up this weekend as Week 3 in the NFL gets underway.